Our topic this afternoon is promoting financial inclusion in Africa, innovation, challenges, and the road forward or road ahead. And we are privileged to have three panelists here. We have Peter Ondiege, who is the Chief Research Economist at the African Development Bank. How come he is there? He's a present. Oh, she was present. Oh, okay. Okay. And Lydia Ndirangu, I'll say a little bit, and Janvier, Nkurunziza. I will start with Professor Peter Ondiege, who is Chief Research Economist in the Research Department, Development Research Department, African Development Bank. He holds a PhD degrees, even the master's one from University of Tsukuba in Japan. He is a co-author of African Competitiveness Reports. And prior to joining the bank in 2004, he was the associate professor and the director of Housing and Building Research Institute at the University of Nairobi in Kenya. So we are happy to have someone who has graduated from the East in Japan. It always helps to bring everything together. So without further ado, sir, I would like to give you the floor.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is a report we presenting. We did it together with Steve Kayizzi, and it's about actually financial inclusion, focusing on mobile financial services. Because of late, we have realized, many countries and even development partners are emphasizing inclusion as part of the process of growth and development, and policies should focus on that. So for us, we're looking at the financial inclusion, focusing on the mobile financial services. Now the report or the paper, I can't see properly, we're about 7 parts. First part is about the state of banking penetration in Africa. Then we talk about the new technologies, on new telecommunication infrastructure and their economic impact. And then a bit of mobile telephony penetration and mobile financial services. We also added a few cases of Kenya and South Africa because these are some of the countries that have done a lot in terms of mobile financial services. Then we conclude by looking at the challenges facing the operators as well as the regulators, and then what we think should be the way for, what we should focus on as researchers. As you heard this morning, actually there's been a lot of work done on financial reforms and deepening financial services in Africa. But this has mostly been in the areas of formal banking systems. We still have challenges to reach the over 75% unbanked population in Africa. So you are told this morning, there's only about 25% or under 25% that actually have formal financial services. But of course, this differs from country to country or region to region, as was indicated. The highest is about 50s in South Africa, and in Central Africa, places like DRC or Congo Republic, just under 10%. So there's a lot to be done to reach the majority of the population. Therefore, the need to look at other innovative ways of focusing, of reaching the unbanked. And this, we are seeing that the new technologies are able to reach a good number of the population. Now, it is actually this gap or the lacuna in the formal financial services or banking that is actually giving a chance or opening up other financial service providers to reach the majority of the people. So this is the gap that most of the mobile network operators are capturing or banking on to reach or create a niche for themselves so they can reach the majority of the people. Now, we at the bank, we think that financial services can be inclusive if we promote, or our programs or projects promote or provide long-term resources to financial intermediaries. That is, ensuring that the African financial institutions, including microfinance, are well financed or have adequate resources that they can extend to the rest of the population. And also ensuring that the projects or programs we're undertaking or supporting African countries can help financially to reach the undeserved population. And this is especially historically forgotten population in terms of formal financial services. Now, we also do capacity building for the suppliers. We ensure that we support developing financial institutions or infrastructure such as credit institutions or registrations, and also support the regulators to undertake reforms where need be. Now, this is a very interesting area. I mean, this map here, because this shows how African governments, with the development partners, together with the private sector, have come up to support or build infrastructure. Now, this shows you the cables, the fiber cables that have been undertaken by most countries, and this linking Africa with the rest of the world. The latest being the one they call BRICS, the green one, which is supposed to be on board any time from now, maybe next year. And this is just the work which has been done in the last 5 years. Because before that, most African countries were relying on the satellites, which are very expensive and cannot work or support the integration. The integration of the African countries. And more important on this one is that these fiber optic cables are also promoting regional integration, which is at the heart of most of African countries and African government and donors. So these are actually built by the African governments, development partners, and private sector. But these are mostly serving the coastal region countries. So there is a need to support more of this what we call terrestrial optic fibers to reach the landlocked countries, and which is rather expensive for most countries. But I think what Google is doing, Google has come up with the project called other 3 billion, connecting other 3 billion, mostly in African countries, the poor countries, and most of them which are landlocked all over the world. So they are putting up satellites which will be as fast as the optic cable, undersea cables. It's a project which was started, I think, some time back, 2 years ago, and I think the bank was supporting part of it, or financing part of it. And it is just in June this year that they launched 2 satellites in the orbit from Guyana. So they want to do more. I think they want to do about 14 of them that will serve countries like DRC, Sudan, Cameroon, and Cameroon, Chad, and so forth. So it's to connect and make sure that these countries have very fast optic, but through the satellite, since the terrestrial ones are a little bit expensive. And in fact, Google is also in the process of negotiating with African governments, including Kenya and I think Senegal, to allow them to use the free, what do you call it, free for the TV station, the channels, which is free, I'm not getting the word, but what we use for TV services. So they are negotiating with African governments to allow them to implement that kind of project. And this is where it is important that regulators do understand the implication of this. That's the central bank and communication regulators. When you talk about financial services, mobile financial services, of course, these operators or the consumers, the operators are faced with more than one regulator. There is on one hand the financial regulator, most of the central bank, who have got their own ideas about how to, like Coops was saying this morning, about financial stability and financial risk. And then there is the regulators, the CCK, I'm not CCK, so this is case for Kenya, the communication people who are also interested in regulating the mobile network operators. So the policy makers should be able to bring together all these, both financial regulators and communication regulators, and then the